What if everything we knew about the Power universe was wrong? What if the story of Ghost, the man who built an empire out of nothing, started with the same woman who raised Tommy Egan? It sounds crazy, right? But fans have been asking one chilling question. Is Kate Egan actually Ghost's mother? Maybe the truth about Ghost's past has been hidden right in front of us, in the eyes of the woman we thought we knew. A woman full of secrets, regret, and lies. Tonight, we're going to pull back the curtain and explore the one theory that could change everything we know about Power Book 4, Force, from the very beginning. Power has always been about loyalty, betrayal, and family. Every move Ghost made, every decision Tommy took, somehow always led back to the idea of brotherhood, to men who called each other brothers, but weren't related by blood. Or at least, that's what we were told. But what if that bond went deeper than friendship? What if the universe was trying to tell us all along that Ghost and Tommy weren't just brothers in spirit, but brothers by birth? When you think about Kate Egan, the first thing that comes to mind is chaos. She's unpredictable, emotional, and manipulative. Yet somewhere deep down, there's guilt, a pain she never talks about. She's lived a life full of secrets, and every time she appears on screen, it feels like she's hiding something big. In Power Book 4, Force, we see her again, older, worn down, still trying to hold on to the only family she's got left to Tommy. But the more we watch her, the more fans notice a pattern. She talks about her past in pieces, never giving the full story. There are hints that there's more to her history than just being Tommy's mother. And then there's Ghost, James St. Patrick, the man who climbed out of the streets of Queens to become a legend. For all his intelligence, his discipline, and his power, there's one thing he never spoke about: his mother. Across the original Power series, we learned about his father, about his past with Kanan, and how he built his empire. But his mother, completely absent. It's as if she was erased from the story. In a universe where every detail matters, that silence is suspicious. Why would a show that gave us backstories for every major character skip over Ghost's mother entirely? Unless, of course, her identity was being saved for something bigger. Fans began connecting the dots. Kate's age fits the timeline. Her wild youth, her connections to the streets, and her history with men involved in crime, it all lines up. And let's not forget how she speaks about her past mistakes, about losing people she loved, about the things she can't take back. Those lines hit harder when you imagine she's talking about more than just Tommy's father or her addiction. What if she's talking about giving up a child, one she couldn't raise, one who grew up to become James St. Patrick? The idea isn't just wild fan fiction. It's emotional. It gives meaning to the way Tommy and Ghost always felt connected, like they were drawn to each other long before they knew what destiny had planned. Think about it, two men from different worlds, with the same drive, the same pain, the same rage. Both wanting to rise above where they came from, both shaped by mothers who let them down. It's almost poetic. Maybe they weren't just partners in crime. Maybe they were family trying to find each other again without even knowing it. As Power Book 4, Force unfolds, Kate's role grows more mysterious. She isn't just background noise anymore, she's part of the emotional core of Tommy's story. The more she appears, the more the audience starts questioning what else she knows, what she's hiding, and whether Tommy's story could secretly be Ghost's too. Maybe this whole time, the Power universe has been leading us toward one shocking truth. Kate Egan might not only be the mother of Tommy Egan, but the mother of Ghost himself, the woman who gave birth to the Power legacy without even realizing it. Tommy Egan's world has always been painted in pain, loyalty, and rage. We've seen him lose friends, brothers, and even his sense of self. But there's one person who's always been a constant: his mother. Kate Egan, the woman who raised him with one hand and ruined him with the other. To many fans, Kate is just a flawed mother trying to protect her only son. But what if her story is a lot bigger than that? What if her past holds the key to one of Power's greatest mysteries, the truth about Ghost's bloodline? Kate's life has always been a storm of lies, secrets, and addiction. We know she used to live fast, surrounded by drugs, dangerous men, and bad choices. She wasn't the kind of mother who baked cookies or read bedtime stories. She was the kind who taught Tommy how to survive in chaos. She made him tough because the world around her was ruthless, yet hidden beneath her addiction and selfishness. There are flashes of sorrow, like someone carrying the weight of a mistake that can't be undone. Now think about this. Ghost's story begins in a similar kind of chaos. He grew up in the streets, surrounded by crime, always searching for control in a world that offered none. He never mentioned his mother, not once in 6 seasons of Power. He never visited her, never called her, never even spoke her name. For a man obsessed with legacy and family, that silence is deafening. Maybe it wasn't just neglect. Maybe it was a secret too dangerous to be told. When we look closer at Kate's past, the timeline starts to make sense. She would have been in her early 20s when Ghost was born, a time in her life that she's never talked about. We've heard her mention lovers from her past, men from the streets, hustlers, criminals, the same kind of world that raised Ghost. Could one of those men have been Ghost's father? Could Kate have been part of that same Queen's underworld before ending up in Chicago? It's not impossible. The Power universe has always thrived on connections that hide in plain sight. There's also the way Kate talks about loss. In Power Book 4, Force, when she opens up to Tommy, she hints that she's lost more than just love or happiness. She's lost people. Her tone shifts when she mentions her youth, as if she's remembering something she never say out loud. It's not the grief of losing a lover. It's the guilt of losing a child. The kind of grief that lives quietly inside you and comes out in strange ways. Like the way she clings to Tommy or the way she talks to JP and D-Mac, desperately trying to rebuild some version of family. And then there's Tommy and Ghost's connection, a brotherhood that feels too natural to be just coincidence. From the very beginning, they moved like they were part of the same soul. They finished each other's thoughts, trusted each other more than anyone else, and when they fought, it felt like two brothers who shared the same blood. Even their differences, Ghost's control versus Tommy's chaos, felt like reflections of two halves of one mother. Ghost always tried to be clean, to escape his upbringing. Tommy always stayed messy, tied to the streets. It's like they both inherited different sides of the same woman. The Power writers are known for weaving family secrets into the plot like ticking time bombs. Think about how Ghost found out Kanan was raising his own son to betray him. Think about how Tariq has become a mirror of his father. The show loves hidden bloodlines and generational echoes. So, the idea that Kate might have a hidden son, one who became Ghost, doesn't sound too far-fetched. In fact, it sounds exactly like something Power would do. And if you rewatch certain scenes from the original Power, you'll notice moments that feel different now. Small details that didn't mean much before but suddenly feel suspicious. The way Ghost talks about feeling abandoned. The way he never speaks ill of his mother but avoids the topic entirely. The subtle way he treats Tommy, angry but protective, like he sees himself in him. Maybe on some subconscious level, Ghost always knew. Maybe that's why he could never completely cut Tommy off, no matter how far they drifted. Kate, on the other hand, could easily have kept the truth buried. After all, her entire life is built on denial. She lies to survive, lies to protect, and lies to forget. If she gave up a baby years ago, maybe because she couldn't raise him or because she was forced to, it makes sense that she'd bury that secret deep enough to never surface again. But fate has a cruel way of bringing buried things back, and through Tommy. Her past might finally be catching up to her. This theory doesn't just reshape how we see Kate, it rewrites everything about Power. It turns the story of Ghost and Tommy into a tragic family saga. Two men born from the same mother, separated by life, reunited by destiny, and torn apart by betrayal. If this is true, then Kate Egan isn't just a supporting character. She's the root of the entire Power universe. The woman whose choices created both the Ghost and the Force. Every character in the Power universe carries scars, but none wear them as quietly or as dangerously as Kate Egan. To most people, she's just Tommy's troubled mother a woman chained to her addictions, her regrets, and her desperate need for control. But when you really look at her life, piece by piece, you begin to see that Kate's story isn't just tragic, it's suspicious. There are too many holes, too many missing years, too many secrets wrapped in shame. It's like she's a walking riddle, and the answer might just be Ghost himself. Before she became the broken woman we see in Power Book 4, Force, Kate was part of a dangerous world. She grew up in the same streets that shaped men like Ghost and Kanan, a world where survival meant compromise and betrayal. She knew hustlers, she knew dealers, and she knew pain. And in that world, women like Kate often disappeared for months or even years, only to come back pretending nothing happened. Maybe one of those absences wasn't just another drug binge. Maybe it was something far more permanent, like a pregnancy she couldn't handle. There are hints in Kate's behavior that she carries an old guilt, something deeper than her usual selfish regrets. When she talks about her past, she switches between anger and sorrow, almost as if she's remembering someone she lost. Her voice trembles when she speaks about family, about mistakes she can't fix, and about people who turned out better without her. That word people always feels heavy, like she's talking about more than Tommy or Teresi. Fans have noticed it too. In some scenes, she looks lost in thought, eyes glassy, as if haunted by a memory she can't speak about. Now think about what kind of woman Kate was back in the day, young, reckless, unpredictable. She could have easily crossed paths with someone from Ghost's side of Queens. Maybe it was a fling that went wrong. Maybe it was a one-night mistake. Or maybe it was something darker, a love story that ended in betrayal, forcing her to leave and start over. It's not hard to imagine her pregnant, scared, and alone, giving up a child to escape a man or a life that threatened to destroy her. She might have thought she was doing the right thing, but the secret festered, poisoning every part of her life after. That would explain a lot about her relationship with Tommy. She clings to him too tightly, smothers him, and then pushes him away. The behavior of a mother terrified of losing another child. It would also explain why she reacts so violently to the idea of family being taken from her. Deep down, Kate might believe she's already lost one son, the one who became Ghost. Every time Tommy walks out that door, she's reliving the same loss all over again. And when you look at the Power universe through this lens, the coincidences start to feel intentional. Both Tommy and Ghost were shaped by the absence of good parenting. Both chased power to fill a void. Both trusted each other more than anyone else. What if that connection wasn't random? What if it was written in their blood? Some fans believe that Kate's hidden past might connect directly to Ghost's earliest days. There's a theory that the reason Ghost was so disconnected from his mother was because she wasn't in his life by choice. She gave him up or was forced to leave him. That's why he never talks about her. That's why there's no mention of her family. Ghost wasn't abandoned. He was erased. And if Kate Egan was that mother, it would mean the two men who built an empire on loyalty and betrayal were, unknowingly, bound by something much stronger than either could imagine. Kate's personality also fits this theory perfectly. She's chaotic but clever, broken but sharp. She hides her pain behind sarcasm, but her eyes always give her away. When she talks about her boys, it feels like she's talking about more than just Tommy. In Force, when she meets JP and D-Mac, she softens. It's like she's remembering something or someone from long ago. That instinct to care, even when she doesn't deserve to, feels rooted in a guilt that goes way back, a mother's guilt for a child she lost long before Tommy came along. And let's not ignore the way the Power writers build their characters. They love poetic connections. They love full circle moments. Revealing that Kate is Ghost's mother would be the ultimate twist, one that ties together everything the series has explored about family, secrets, and the cost of power. It would make Kate's story tragic, not just because of what she's done, but because of what she's lost. She wouldn't just be Tommy's burden anymore. She'd be the mother of two sons who became enemies. Two men destined to destroy each other because of her silence. The truth about Kate Egan's hidden past might never be said out loud. But the clues are there in her words, in her pain, and in the way she moves through every scene like a ghost herself. Maybe she isn't haunted by drugs or loneliness. Maybe she's haunted by the memory of the child she left behind, the one who became the ghost of power. Sometimes the biggest secrets hide in plain sight. The Power universe has always been built on hidden meanings, double lines, and unspoken truths. Every conversation carries a second layer. Every look has a story behind it. And if you go back and really pay attention, the signs about Kate Egan and Ghost might have been sitting right there in the dialogue, the details, and the quiet pauses that most of us never noticed when you rewatch Power. There's something strange about how Ghost's family history is handled. We know where he grew up, who mentored him, who betrayed him, and even who he loved. But the show is silent about his parents. Not a single flashback, not one real mention, not even a photo. For a series that thrives on deep backstories, that silence feels intentional. It's as if the writers were protecting a secret they weren't ready to reveal, a secret that could change how we see Ghost forever. Now let's look at Kate. From the start, she's always been portrayed as a woman who has lived through things she refuses to discuss. When she reappears in Force, her attitude toward Tommy feels layered. She's proud, protective, but also guilty. It's not the guilt of a mother who made small mistakes. It's the guilt of someone who's done something unforgivable. Watch how she reacts when Tommy talks about family or loss. Her eyes shift, her voice lowers, and her emotions get messy. It's as if those conversations dig up something she's tried to bury for decades. Fans started connecting these emotional moments with Ghost's mystery. In one scene from Power, Ghost admits that he doesn't remember his mother much, just fragments. He says he had to raise himself. The writers didn't give us more, which was odd considering how much detail we got about everyone else's parents. Maybe they didn't want to reveal her yet. Maybe because she's been in the story all along, right under our noses. There's also the visual symmetry the show uses between Kate and Ghost. Look at their expressions, their body language. When Ghost is under pressure, he clenches his jaw and drops his voice to hide emotion. Kate does the same thing when she lies to Tommy, when Ghost talks about betrayal. You can see that same pain Kate carries when she's trying to win Tommy back. It's not proof, but Power has always relied on these visual cues to connect characters long before the truth comes out. Then there's the emotional connection between Ghost and Tommy, a connection that never made full sense logically. Sure, they grew up together, fought side by side, and shared loyalty. But their bond went beyond friendship. Even when they wanted to kill each other, they couldn't. Ghost once told Tommy, "You're my brother." And Tommy didn't even argue. He just said, "You two." It felt real, deeper than the streets or money. Maybe because, deep down, it was real. Maybe it was blood calling to blood. And think about how the show handles themes of destiny. Power has always been about cycles, fathers and sons, mentors and protégés, betrayals repeating themselves. Every generation in the Power world seems doomed to repeat the mistakes of the last. If Kate is indeed Ghost's mother, that theme continues perfectly. A mother's sin shaping to sons who never knew they were family. Both men chasing power, both losing everything they love, both haunted by the same broken bloodline. Even Force seems to be nudging us toward this revelation. In Season 2 and leading into Season 3, Kate's presence grows stronger. She keeps resurfacing even when Tommy tries to cut her off. It's almost as if her story isn't done, like the writers are saving her for something much bigger. Her scenes with Tommy often end with her saying things like, "You don't know everything about me," or "You think you understand, but you don't." On the surface, those lines sound like the words of an addicted mother trying to justify her behavior. But what if they're foreshadowing something deeper, something about who she really is and who she's lost? There's also the way the writers connect Kate's guilt with Ghost's shadow. Notice how, in Force, every time Kate shows up, Tommy ends up talking about Ghost or being reminded of him. Her name and Ghost's memory are tied together like threads in the same story. It's subtle, but it's there. The show wants us to think about the two of them in the same frame. Another interesting clue comes from how the show's creators talk about legacy. They've often said that Force and Ghost are two halves of one story, that Tommy and Ghost's paths were never truly separate. If Kate turns out to be the missing link, it would connect those halves perfectly. It would mean that everything, from Ghost's rise to Tommy's rage, all began with her choices. Some fans even point to small Easter eggs, things like the way Kate uses the phrase "my boy" when she's emotional. Even when talking about people who aren't Tommy, or how Ghost, in early Power episodes, talks about a woman who made me who I am but isn't in my life anymore. At the time, it sounded like a metaphor. Now, it feels like a breadcrumb dot, and in true Power fashion, if this twist ever gets revealed, it wouldn't just shock viewers, it would reframe the entire series. Kate wouldn't just be Tommy's damaged mother. She'd be the original connection between every major player in the Power world. The woman whose choices set off a chain of events that led to Ghost's empire.